A world divided, the Cold War. This period, spanning from the end of World War II in 1945 to the early 1990s, was marked by intense rivalry and ideological conflict between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. The world was a tense place after World War II. Europe lay in ruins, and the task of rebuilding was daunting. The devastation left behind by the war created a power vacuum that both the United States and the Soviet Union sought to fill, each with their own vision for the future. The United States and its allies believed in democracy and capitalism. They envisioned a world where free markets and democratic institutions would lead to prosperity and peace. The American way of life, characterized by consumerism and political freedom, was promoted as the ideal. The Soviet Union, a communist superpower, had a very different view. Under the leadership of Joseph Stalin, the USSR promoted a system based on state control of the economy and a single-party political structure. They believed that communism was the path to equality and social justice. This created a period of tension and mistrust known as the Cold War. The ideological divide between capitalism and communism led to a series of confrontations and proxy wars around the globe. Both superpowers sought to expand their influence, often at the expense of smaller nations caught in the middle. Germany, divided after the war, became a focal point in this global struggle. The country was split into East and West, with the eastern part under Soviet control and the western part under the influence of the United States, Great Britain, and France. The United States, Great Britain, and France controlled West Germany. They worked to rebuild the region, promoting economic recovery through initiatives like the Marshall Plan, which provided financial aid to war-torn European countries. The Soviet Union controlled East Germany. They implemented a socialist system, nationalizing industries and collectivizing agriculture, which led to economic hardships and political repression. Berlin, though geographically located within East Germany, was also divided, mirroring the tensions of the larger world. The city became a microcosm of the Cold War, with the western sectors controlled by the Allies and the eastern sector by the Soviets. This division was not just geographic but ideological. The western part of Berlin thrived under a capitalist system, while the eastern part struggled under communism. The stark contrast between the two sides was evident in the daily lives of their citizens. The capitalist West and the communist East represented two fundamentally different ways of life. In the West, people enjoyed greater personal freedoms and economic opportunities, while in the East, the state controlled many aspects of life, leading to shortages and restrictions. The Berlin Wall would become a stark symbol of this division, a physical manifestation of the Iron Curtain that had descended across Europe. Erected in 1961, the wall not only separated families and friends, but also stood as a powerful reminder of the ideological battle that defined the Cold War era. Building barriers was not just a physical act, but a symbolic one. It represented the growing divide between two ideologies, two ways of life, and two worlds. The construction of the Berlin Wall was a pivotal moment in history, marking the intensification of the Cold War. The rise of the Berlin Wall was not just a construction project, it was a manifestation of the political and social tensions of the time. The wall stood as a stark reminder of the division between East and West, communism and capitalism. In the years after World War II, many East Germans dissatisfied with communist rule fled to the West. They risked their lives, leaving behind their homes and families, in search of a better future. The exodus was a clear indication of the discontent and desperation felt by many under the oppressive regime. They sought freedom and opportunity in the capitalist West Berlin. The city became a beacon of hope, a place where dreams could be realized, and where the promise of a better life was within reach. The influx of refugees highlighted the stark contrast between the two Berlins. This brain drain of skilled workers and intellectuals alarmed East German authorities. The loss of talent threatened the stability and future of the East German state. The government was desperate to stem the tide and retain its citizens, leading to increasingly drastic measures. On August 13, 1961, East Germany took drastic action. In a move that would change the course of history, they began the construction of the Berlin Wall. The decision was swift and decisive, catching many by surprise. Overnight, they began erecting a barbed wire barrier that would become the Berlin Wall. Soldiers stood guard, ensuring that no one could cross the newly established boundary. The initial barrier was rudimentary, but it was the beginning of a much larger and more formidable structure. This wall was designed to stop the flow of people and to solidify the division between East and West Berlin. It was a physical manifestation of the Iron Curtain that had descended across Europe. The wall not only divided a city but also symbolized the broader ideological divide of the Cold War. The construction of the wall shocked the world. It was a bold and aggressive move that drew widespread condemnation. The international community watched in disbelief as families were torn apart and a city was divided. The Berlin Wall quickly became a symbol of oppression and the struggle for freedom. What was initially a crude barrier quickly transformed into a formidable concrete structure, complete with guard towers, watchdogs, and a death strip designed to deter escape attempts. The wall evolved into a heavily fortified border, making any attempt to cross it perilous. It stood as a grim reminder of the lengths to which a regime would go to maintain control and prevent its people from seeking freedom. A city divided. Life in the shadow of the wall. The Berlin Wall had a profound impact on the lives of ordinary people. Families and friends were torn apart, separated by the concrete barrier. Daily life in the shadow of the wall was a constant reminder of the divided city and world. For those in the West, the wall was a symbol of oppression and communist tyranny. For those trapped in the East, it represented a barrier to freedom, a constant reminder of the limitations imposed by their government. Escape from tyranny, attempts, and successes. Despite the dangers, many East Berliners refused to accept the wall as a permanent fixture. Desperate to reach freedom, they devised daring escape plans, some successful, others tragically ending in failure. People tunneled under the wall, flew over it in hot air balloons, and even used modified cars to smash through checkpoints. These acts of courage and desperation highlighted the human cost of the wall and the lengths to which people would go to secure their freedom. These stories of escape attempts, some successful, others tragically ending in failure, captured global attention. They served as a powerful indictment of the wall and the oppressive regime it represented. Cracks in the concrete, the beginning of the end. In the late 1980s, the tide began to turn. Mikhail Gorbachev's reforms in the Soviet Union, coupled with growing unrest in Eastern Europe, weakened the grip of communism. The Berlin Wall, once a symbol of communist strength, began to look increasingly like a relic of a fading ideology. Protests in East Germany grew bolder, demanding change and an end to travel restrictions. The pressure on the East German government was mounting, both internally and from the international community. The Berlin Wall, once thought impenetrable, was starting to crumble under the weight of history. A day for the ages: the fall of the Berlin Wall, November 9, 1989. This day marked a turning point in history, a moment when the world watched in awe as a symbol of division crumbled before their eyes. On November 9, 1989, after weeks of unrest and mounting pressure from the public, East German officials announced the opening of border crossings. This announcement came as a shock to many, as the Berlin Wall had stood as an impenetrable barrier for nearly 3 decades, separating families and friends. The news spread like wildfire, and soon thousands of East Berliners were making their way to the wall, demanding to cross. The atmosphere was electric, filled with a mix of excitement, disbelief, and hope. People from all walks of life, young and old, gathered in front of the wall, united by a common desire for freedom. Overwhelmed by the sheer number of people and the momentous occasion, border guards opened the gates. It was a decision made in the heat of the moment, driven by the overwhelming force of the crowd and the undeniable tide of history. As the gates swung open, a flood of humanity poured through, each step a defiant act against years of oppression. East and West Berliners alike erupted in celebration, tears of joy mixing with the sounds of hammers chipping away at the hated barrier. Strangers embraced, united by the shared experience of newfound freedom. The wall, once a symbol of division and despair, was now being dismantled piece by the very people it had sought to separate. The fall of the Berlin Wall was a watershed moment in history, signaling the end of the Cold War and the beginning of a new era. It was a moment that resonated far beyond the borders of Germany, inspiring movements for freedom and democracy around the world. The images of the wall coming down were broadcast globally, a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit. It was a victory for freedom and democracy, a testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome even the most formidable obstacles. the fall of the Berlin Wall remains a powerful symbol of hope and the enduring quest for liberty. It reminds us that no matter how high the walls, they can always be brought down by the collective will of the people. Reunification and legacy, Germany after the wall. The fall of the wall paved the way for German reunification, a process completed in 1990. This reunification was not without its challenges, as economic and social disparities between East and West Germany took time to address. Despite these challenges, the reunification of Germany stands as a powerful symbol of hope and reconciliation. It serves as a reminder that even the deepest divisions can be healed, and that a shared future is possible even after decades of separation. Symbols of oppression and freedom, the Berlin Wall's enduring message. Though physically dismantled, the Berlin Wall remains a powerful symbol. It serves as a reminder of the dangers of division, the allure of freedom, and the human cost of political oppression. Its fall teaches us that no wall, no matter how high or how strong, can ultimately contain the human desire for liberty and unity. The events of 1989 remind us that even seemingly insurmountable barriers can be overcome when people unite in their pursuit of a common goal. The Wall today, a reminder and a warning. Today, segments of the Berlin Wall remain standing as memorials, stark reminders of a divided past. They serve as a warning against complacency and a call to safeguard freedom and democracy against all threats. The Berlin Wall's legacy is a complex one, filled with both tragedy and triumph. It is a story of division and reunification, of oppression and liberation, and ultimately, of the enduring human spirit that yearns for a world without walls.